Good evening, brothers and sisters. My name is Henry Beasley, presidential candidate, ATU757 president. And the reason why I'm doing this video is to reintroduce myself to the members of ATU757. Currently, we're rerunning the elections, and time is pretty short to get our information out on what the candidates stand for. So what I did was I put this video together to reintroduce myself to the members to hopefully give them a well-rounded view of the candidates in question. Let me take a second to talk about why we're rerunning the elections. Currently, our representatives are trying to spin the story, so to speak. I'm sure everybody's gotten a letter from the Department of Labor concerning an ineligible candidate, which did split the vote, which, again, with the way things were, there was not a 50+1. This affected it mightily because they got about 800 some votes. So that's in part why we're rerunning the vice president's race. In the president's race, there was another ineligible candidate, but they got only 30+ votes, which would not have made any determining factor on the outcome of the elections, although in the presidential race, there was not a 50+1 as well. So why are we rerunning the elections? Simply put, our current officials decided to use union resources to send out disparaging emails via the ATU activist list, which they had access to. When they won the elections, they decided not to fight these challenges that was posted over their usage of union resources. So when the Department of Labor stepped in, the Department of Labor determined that there was just cause. With that being said, during this time, I received a phone call from an attorney, and the attorney said that they were representing the union in what would be a defense against the Department of Labor. I found it kind of strange when our union uses union resources to run their campaigns, but then use union resources to try and fight the Department of Labor. And I found it offensive. And I spoke up at the union meeting concerning these people calling me to try and change my story that I gave to the Department of Labor. To me, that's not kosher. So when you lie and then you try and cover it up and then you have somebody else pay for it, that's a conflict of interest. And members should be aware of your union funds going to fight what our current representatives did. This is not leadership. This is not leadership. So here we go, rerunning the elections based on voluntary compliance, or in the real world we call it a plea agreement. Part of our platform talks about having shop stewards. In the last elections, I really emphasized the need for a shop stewards program, and I've shared my thoughts and feelings with a couple of our e-board officers. In my explanation, I said that we need at least one shop steward for every 15 members. Currently, we have since restarted a shop stewards program. Now, the information that I provided to the e-board officers in hopefully rebuilding a shop stewards program was, one, the reason why we need shop stewards. First, the flow of information sometimes get muddled up and rumors and innuendos start. A shop steward actually helps disperse some of those rumors and innuendos. If we keep the communication flow going, our shop stewards are an essential part of the information flow. Now, our union is not whole without our shop stewards. We need our shop stewards to be visible and mobile. One of the things that we have issues with is, do you even know who your shop stewards are? Have you looked on your union board? Do you see a face of your shop steward? Do you even know their name? Do you know their number? If you have a random question you want to ask somebody other than management whose sole purpose is to limit liability to themselves, you want somebody there to be there for you. That's what our shop stewards program should be. They're an essential part of the union experience. Another part of my platform that I talk about is upgrading how we process information. By upgrading our software, we can shorten the time that we spend on grievances. This would save us time and money with labor lawyers and expenses, trying to find files, lose files. It was in somebody's truck, oh, it was in somebody's folder that they left on the table in the break room. We want to eliminate that process. And as a result, if we upgrade, what in essence can happen is our members will receive faster and efficient service from their union representatives. This will allow our shop stewards and our liaisons access to file grievances. That's a major thing, because if they're standing in for our e-board officers, now they have the tools to make those reports, make them legible, file those grievance numbers. If a certain grievance is continued, as in TriMet, we often hear part of our disciplinary action is B101, which basically says you didn't do what your job says. We can track those things. We can track and see what type of disciplinary action that one manager has as opposed to another manager. We want to make that information accessible to our e-board officers, especially when they're going into management meeting. They need to have that information available. And that also helps in our grievance process. When we go to file in arbitration, we need to have that information. We need to simplify our processes with one form, not several forms, not a stack of papers this high. We want to make sure that we can access it via our cell phone or tablet or our home computers. I believe that software will make a big difference. One of the main part about my platform that I really would hope to get started would be two different programs. The main program is starting an emergency relief fund. This program would allow our funds to go to our members that are in the most need of financial assistance. Although the funds will be temporary and for basic needs, we can really help our members. When we have members who lost in the last contract, instead of having 90-10, they got 80-20, and there was no help for them. This type of thing, if we could, say, help out with a Fred Meyer card, $200 Fred Meyer card, or a Safeway card, help with groceries when our members have to make that decision whether it's medication or food. We need to really reinvest in our members, especially our members that came before us. When there's members on workman's comp, a lot of times that workman's comp check is not that much. If they end up losing their shirt because they have to make a decision whether food or medication, we want to be able to help them out with some temporary relief. And I believe reinvesting in our members should be our primary goal, because without our members, we have no union. Another question that I get is, why am I the best candidate? First, let me say that we have a systematic issue of inadequate representation. And what I mean by that is members that don't feel like they're a part of the union experience or a part of this union family. Case in point, a comment that I got when I started was the fact that I did not have any representation until the end of probation. Let that sink in for a second. You just told me that after I paid the initiation fee, after I'm paying monthly dues, you don't represent me whatsoever. And I'm supposed to want to be a part of this union. If we look at the bigger picture, I just got extorted. Why would I want to even be involved in union activity? Why would I want to even go to union meetings or state how I feel about the union or raise my hand and want to volunteer for everything? You just deterred me from being a part of this union. And if we continue to go down this path, you might as well call it status quo, where members get deterred. Case in point, if you look at the last contract by TriMet, if you look at who voted how, let's say you have 500 plus that voted for the contract, you had 500 plus that voted against the contract, but in the middle you had 500 people that did not vote at all. Let that sink in. 500 people didn't feel that they were even part of this union, so they didn't vote at all. But if you don't vote, this can hurt your future. This can hurt the amount of money you can make. This can hurt your pension. This can hurt your medical. This can hurt everything. But 500 people did not vote. But that's indicative on us as a union. That's where we are as a union. Second question I get, do you have any negotiating experience? The answer is no. But in order to be a good negotiator, you have to have certain things. That's knowledge on the issue that you're negotiating. Know where your bottom line is. But most important is how to build your bargaining team. Case in point, although our former president was an e-board officer in the past, he was not chief negotiator for the union until their election. You can also throw in our current representative. This is their first time as well. He and she have done what they thought was in the best interest of the union. I can respect that. But I can also say that it's our bargaining team that has to be just as strong in order to get the best deal in the interest of the membership. But as chief negotiator, you have to be in lockstep with your bargaining team. You cannot allow infighting to destroy what's in the best interest of our membership. Case in point, our former president blames everything on our current vice president, infighting. But the fact of the matter is, respect the office of president, but also control your team. If your vice president is not willing to work with you and say they want to work with you, but constantly undermine you, that's not what our chief representative should be. Should they be running? That's their choice. But the fact of the matter is, our members deserve better than that. Infighting and self-importance is not part of what a chief negotiator and or vice president should be. Everybody should work together for the better good of our members. Because you can't get a good contract if you're infighting and acting like children. That's why I think I'm the best candidate. Because I bring a level head and understanding and the ability to work with anybody. Although people say it's my way or the highway, it's not. I've been able to work with e-board officers that just don't like me, period. But when we sit down, we put our heads together, we work problems out pretty easily. What do we need in a president? What we need is someone who can represent our members with intelligence, focus, integrity, and professionalism. Someone who can talk off the cuff, listen and hear what our members have to say and respond in kind. understand what quid pro quo is, be more inclusive with our members and invite members who may have some special skills that may benefit our membership. Personally, I know somebody who's been a federal negotiator. I know someone who has actually done accounting so that we can build a budget that is based a little bit more in reality. Another skill is strong communications. Another one is commitment to the cause, to strive for better outcomes, a positive attitude, and a creative thinker, willing to go outside of the box to strive for better outcomes. And first and foremost, someone who will defend the health, safety, and well-being of our members. No more operators getting assaulted. It's time that we start pushing back on that. And those are some of the qualities that I think make up a good president. Another creative idea that I got, since I'm pretty tired of the factions within our union tearing it apart, for the TriMet contract that is coming up in December 1st, I think if elected, we should bring in Bruce Hanson and bring in Jonathan Hunt. The reason behind that is our union is fractured along these two lines, and I think it's time that we coalesce when it comes to dealing with the TriMet contract. I think with both aspects together, both having good qualities in what they've done in the past, I think if all of us got together, I think we could really make a good or better contract with TriMet, especially with no givebacks. But ultimately, the buck always stops with the president. The president should have the strength to lead. Lastly, a major thing that we currently do not have is a set standard in our contracts. Looking over some of the contracts, I've noticed things that are missing here, add it there, solves this problem, but this problem still exists over here, but we have the same representative. So how are these discrepancies not in a set standard? Case in point, C-Tran contract for operators follows the Fair Labor Standards Act. Currently at TriMet, it does not follow the Fair Labor Standards Act, but we have the same representative. Or you look at LTD's work refusal, which handcuffs the operators to the wheel. We saw that at TriMet. So why the discrepancy when we have the same representatives? Or LTD's tool allowance is up to date, whereas TriMet's tool allowance is not up to date. And our members just lost money for not responding to a grievance filed. That being said, I mean, if you look at the comps, again, go back to our mechanics for a second. Currently, the differentials in swing shifts and night shifts need to be updated. Currently, in at our properties for ATU757, currently the differentials are much higher elsewhere than ours, and I can't see why that is, because we have the same representatives. But the thing is, when you're negotiating, first thing you have to have is proper information and documentation, and then do the research behind to back up our position to set some standards. We can accomplish this. It's just we have to get off of this, well, I'm just going to deal with this contract the way they want and this contract the way they want, but no set standards. I mean, if we can solve the problem to make our members' jobs a lot easier, we should be taking that step to bring about some set standards. This is what I bring to the table: an actual plan, a set standard, bring about more efficient and better representation to our membership with a fierce focus on our members' needs. That's why you should vote for me, Henry Beasley, ATU757 President.